I guess the no, that's
Okay, next on the agenda is Attorney Joseph Calamari's report.
Yeah, the only thing is, there was the conversation about the law with respect to the residency requirement for the constable position, and I spoke to Rox, and I think I spoke to Rox and told her to convey that I was going to present that for the next meeting since there was no urgency in time, so I'm going to focus on this.
Right. Right.
So then,
okay. Mayor Dorman's report, no report tonight, just this meeting. Clerk Astroy, she is on vacation. Deputy Clerk McChesney's report.
I think it's just financial statements. So July 31st, general fund balance is $385,510.04. Deposits.
Wait,
am I doing it wrong?
is this the financial statement?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's wait to get to that.
Okay, well then I guess I have no report other than, there wasn't anything in the folder, so I apologize. Yeah, sorry.
It's fine.
Okay. Subject of short-term rental moratorium. What's the vote? Table.
I move to table it till the next meeting.
my second. So let's have some conversation about that, right? So maybe you have the option of doing three things.
Okay.
Putting the law, tabling it, or, you know, withdrawing the introduction, okay? So I think the question ultimately comes, what is the goal of the board? If the goal of the board is to reconvene, to take into consideration the comments of the zoning committee, take into the comments of the public, your own self-reflection, then quite candidly, you're better off just withdrawing the motion, because you're going to have a whole new document in which you're going to have to introduce that is going to have new substantive provisions.
In my opinion on that is if we keep pushing it back, you could have already addressed the short-term rental issue. So like if we make a motion to redo the language, have another meeting on it, that's what, another month or so?
My concern is if there is no moratorium, that the zoning committee is going to feel compelled to rush through it. That's my concern.
So then I think the question to me is, if you're prepared to do it tonight, is talk about the substantive issues in the actual law that you want that was proposed and introduced. It could be, hey, I'm happy with the way it was written, I want to improve it. No, I want to change X, Y, and Z. Have that conversation now so you have a better understanding. Or maybe you're not in the position to do it now, then you would table that next conversation. But either way, if there's substantive changes, and you believe there's going to be, whether it be the time frame, whether it be the grandfathering aspect, whether it be the enforceability aspect, a number of concerns are raised both internally, externally, you know, then you're better off just going, you know, in many ways, to start from scratch, because you have to, you can only introduce a law that you're prepared to vote on from a substantive standpoint.
I think it should be tabled. That is my opinion.
My only concern is, and I've been concerned that we don't get to hear both sides of the story. We've seen an organized, definitely against moratorium, but we've also gotten inputs verbally, by phone, and by letter on the side that says maybe that's not a bad idea. So my preference, but that's up to the board, my preference would be to table it until meeting and look at the different stuff that we got tonight, look at all of the documentation that we've seen, including phone calls, and I've made notes on phone calls that I had. But again, that's up to the board. That's just my input.
then you want to make sure Rox disseminates all that to the board as well, right? That's what you're
Right.
going to base your opinions on.
We've been capturing every email,
Yep.
printing it out, we have hard copies of everything.
Yeah, you just got to make sure that gets to all the trustees.
Yep.
Just as some degree. I mean, there's a lot of information that we haven't seen yet.
Sure.
What was your motion?
I would like a motion to table the moratorium. I understand that we need language, we really need regulations, we don't want people popping up tents of yards, Airbnb, you know, I completely understand that. I liked Dana's with the fire department, how they went section to section. If we've been working on this since November, we could have just addressed the short-term section and it could have already been done. And now we're just putting all this energy into the moratorium, and then we're gonna put even more into it by fixing the language of it. I don't think that there should be several terms. On the original one, it was 120 days, and then possibly 2 more terms of 120 days. Yeah, you do not need that much time, I think. That is a lot of time. I liked the survey option, everybody's opinions, and how we can all just come together collectively to what's better for the community. But not necessarily put huge, like 6 months, like with Edison's email. If they want to find a house in the community, if they find a house, what are they gonna do if it's not in that time limit, you know?
So if we table it, are you suggesting we table it for the next meeting?
Altogether.
You're talking about rescinding that motion that was made on July 13th, then. Rescinding
No, there's
that.
a difference between tabling and rescinding, and that's what I was talking about, okay? So,
Can't take it back.
okay, rescinding is starting from scratch as if the voting and introduced did not exist. Tabling it is, you leave it open to the possibility that you may adopt this, but at least allowing the conversation. It all comes down to what your preference is. If you make any substantive changes, and I know there's been proposed substantive changes by the zoning committee as well as from the public, because I've been sent a lot of them,
Yes.
but I didn't make any changes, nor did I recommend them, because it's not the public, it's not the zoning committee, as I articulated before. It's up to you guys. You're the ones that need to say, no, we want this, we want that, we don't want this, we don't want that. So you gotta put yourself in a position to make that decision. If you want to table this, knowing you feel comfortable that there's probably going to be some substantive changes, then you can withdraw the introduction or revoke and then start from scratch. Or you can table it, but it still leaves a possibility that you will accept the version that is submitted. And if that is a possibility, then table it. If it's not a possibility, revoke it.
The version with changes.
If it's substantive changes, then revoke it. And then discuss right here, right now, because the last time there wasn't a good plan in place, how are you guys going to come to that? Is it we're going to sit down and, next meeting maybe put on the agenda, we're going to go look through it. Maybe it's each person make their own independent thoughts and then submit it and bring it into the meeting next time. But there should be a plan in place as to how you're going to attack this. It shouldn't be, let's have someone put something together, because then all you're going to do is get here and want more time to reevaluate every stop in the meeting. I think you guys, between the information you provided, zoning committee's changes, you're in a position if you think you want substantive changes. And that's part of the process, right? Laws get introduced all the time. They get reworked, reshot, and go back to the drawing board, because, let's be honest, you 5 are just weighing, typically in a meeting, you have 4 people. And they usually don't weigh in on these particular issues. You needed to do something like this to draw the public conversation.
Exactly.
So now you have that information. It's how you guys want to handle it from here. That's probably most important.
I would certainly like them next meeting, push it off to the next meeting to contemplate.
So then table it. Consider all the information. If you make any substantive changes, you can make them on the fly, reject that one, and reintroduce the new one, or you can even push it down another meeting to make sure you hone in on it and feel comfortable with it. Let yourself dictate the pace. But now you feel like you at least, one thing is, you know that it's at least generated enough discussion where you guys feel comfortable probably weighing in on a little bit more on the substantive issue.
I would like to make a motion to table it till the next meeting so we can, look at really zero in on all the information that we've gotten tonight. There's actually more options than just yes moratorium, no moratorium. There are other options out there, and I think in the next 2 weeks we can share those options and really zero in on them. But I think we need to table it till the next week.
Second.
Make a motion.
So wait a second. Rachel said she would like to rescind it, and then she was totally ignored 2 weeks ago.
Yep, yep,
And then again,
yep.
Bill said
And now
you're
again
talking
tonight.
about her again.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
What in the world?
I mean, this is insane.
She suggested we
I feel like
can
this
rescind.
is silly, no one's gonna.
You had made a motion,
Well, go ahead.
you had a motion on the floor before she made a motion,
Yeah,
so.
she did.
Yes, she did. She had a motion to rescind it.
So Bill too.
I think if you look at the minutes, Bill had the first motion. Then Rachel, then.
All right, let's go back to the first motion. Table it until the next meeting. Those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So they just ignored her again. You just ignored her again.
Okay. Okay, we're through with that section. Bathhouse at the beach.
What did you just do?
What just
Where's
happened?
Bill's motion? No,
Pardon?
she was talking about it before. She was talking about it before, Bill.
We made a motion, when we approved the motion to table it until the next meeting to vote. And in the meantime, figure out each of us individually what we think of what we've seen tonight in accumulation of the records so far.
Not to make it-
No, Rachel made,
There's no motion to table it for another vote, right?
Rachel made that
All you're
first.
doing is tabling it for the board to look into all the facts.
Exactly.
And then decide, it could be withdrawn, it could be approved, it could be, you're not.
That's what I thought I said.
No, I mean, I just want to make it clear.
Okay.
Because you're not tabling to vote, say, hey, we're going to vote next meeting. Essentially, you're saying.
No.
it's all the
Rachel
information,
motioned
then
that
you're in a
first.
position next week.
Okay. Does everybody understand that?
No, I think there's a problem with the motion, the way you guys handled it.
Yep, that's wrong. What
The
just
way this is
happened?
handled is not correct, and not the way the
No,
motion was.
Rachel motioned
So
first.
the
it
lawyer,
was in order.
the lawyer should be correcting this,
Let's
because
have
Rachel
it.
made the first motion, she should be heard first. The president that's running this meeting should be the one making her motion
There was,
first.
Bill brought the first motion on the
No, we
floor.
didn't.
Bill technically made the first motion to table.
Bill
it
said
till
you
next
made the first
meeting.
motion.
Then I said I wanted to make a motion to just get rid of it altogether.
Yes.
In fact, you got that on the record.
Yeah, that's
Bill's
recorded.
motion was first on the floor. We vote on that before the next motion was raised.
Right.
So since Bill raised it first, Bill's motion gets addressed first.
Yes.
Did anyone second it?
Mark second Bill's motion.
Can you just, I think it's important also to clarify that that means that you will discuss the actual moratorium as it exists right now at the next meeting. Because what the attorney said is if you already know there's going to be changes, he's able to
We
substitute.
might also propose changes and might give some input to that.
Right, but then that starts a whole new process. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, truly, I'm just trying to understand the process. So, what I understand from what, sorry, wait for Mr. Calamari, said is if you table this and then you have the discussion next meeting, everybody does their homework, everybody brings their comments, right? And if that then becomes substantive changes to the moratorium as it exists, then essentially you're going to have to rescind that original moratorium and start this process again with a whole new moratorium that also leads to another public hearing. I just want to make sure that I understood that right, and I don't want you guys to be next meeting like, oh, I thought that this was, I need to do this.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just don't think, we've been bombarded with all this information, we can't make a decision tonight.
Absolutely.
We just can't.
Do you think next meeting is a long enough time for you to make a decision?
I mean, you guys are gonna go home and be like all stressed out for like 2 weeks. So why wouldn't you like give yourself a couple months to think about it? Seriously.
Well, you know what, well, all this is going on, that's why I'm still working there, so I
So be it. And so they're working on other things, not the moratorium. You know, there's lots of things to be done, but for the stress of you all and for the rest of the village, take some time, take a break.
Okay, are we clear on what we're doing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Moving ahead, you said there's no report on backhoes. Okay, next, new business.
Hold on a minute. He made a motion, he seconded. I didn't hear a vote.
Yes, we voted.
Yeah, they did.
How many ayes, how many nays, and how
One
many
nay.
nays? Thank you. We can't hear you.
No, I'm good. I'll wait, I'm walking.
Sam? What do you got?
Today, roadside mower, 11 and a half months ago, and we received it last week. So it's been outfitted to mow roadside. That was bought and buy some state money that was not necessarily bought in the village. Now that's my point of this whole moratorium too, is my standpoint is superintendent it is. My understanding is part of the money that comes from sales tax is revenue for the village. Not a single one of them persons understands that, not one. You know, so this whole thing is more too than making rules against Airbnbs or short-term rentals. You know, the point of the village coming up with this is because we get X amount of dollars for property tax. You think it's 7 million, it's 131,000, you know, hearsay. Now, the rest of our money, since they started taxing internet sales, became tremendous. So if you want a beach, if you want your sidewalks plowed, if you want snowflakes, you want them lit up, all this stuff, the money has to come from somewhere. You can't take money from water and put it into streets. You know, the money has to come from somewhere. If you want this nice little Hallmark village, your property taxes are not paying it. We need residency. Residency are full-time people who live here or long-term rentals. I'm done.
Listen to anyone else's opinion.
No report.
No report. Trustee Flaherty.
Okay, beach report. Week 5, we had 461 people. Week 6, we had 305 so far. This week, we've had 146. That puts us at 3,240 people total this season so far at the beach. There's 68 to 68 regular attendees for swimming lessons. The Waldemere trip is tomorrow. There are 64 people going, and the buses and the reduced swim lesson tickets, I believe we're all paid for with can drive and food sales that we've been doing at the beach. And there's been all positive comments about the beach and the program. I have not heard any negatives at all. And Sam, did you get that toilet fixed?
Absolutely.
Yes, awesome. Grills.
Not yet.
Grills, okay. Upcoming events in Cassadaga, which August, and I'll let Mark talk more about that.